It is Wednesday, the 30th day of July, 2025, and I begin yet another episode with another death. This time, the man known worldwide as Hulk Hogan. Now, I don't think I've talked nearly enough wrestling on this program over the course of the last 5+ years. I really don't. I'll do it every now and again, but um, wrestling is a big deal to me, and it has been since I was 4 years old. And I'm not obsessive. I'm not like one of these, crazy fans. That's not nice to say, but I'm not like a insane, rabid fan. It's just been a big part of my life for the last 40+ years. And Hulk Hogan was a big part of that and a big reason for that. And so his passing signifies well, I wouldn't say quite a few things, but a few things, right? One is obviously the death of an icon, right? Uh, a literal giant in the industry. Made professional wrestling what it is today. Him and Vince together created what I consider to be magic, right? And it's because it's pure entertainment. And that's all it was. And that's what Vince was good at, pure entertainment. And Hogan fit the bill. Now, the character of Hulk Hogan from inception, maybe not inception, but, from 83 ish, 1983 till probably right up until, I don't know, maybe 92. Like, that was peak Hogan. That was peak pro wrestling. Everything started to change after that when he, stepped away for a while and then came back and then went to WCW, and that was a whole thing. But and then he went and changed wrestling again, which is just wild to think about. That he did it literally. He did twice, flipped an entire industry on its head twice. Maybe three times. I don't know. You could say he did it twice in WCW, but I don't know. So it's funny, that he's passed away, and you get a lot of people that are, like, oh, good, fuck him, blah blah blah. It's like you can separate the art from the artist. I mean, you can, and what he's done over the course of the last, I'd say, few years is not. I don't want to say it's entirely reflective of him, but I mean, I don't know. It could be. Again, nobody knows these people intimately, so you don't really know. Hulk Hogan, the character, in my mind, is very different from Terry Bollea, the actual person who played Hulk Hogan. And I will continue to choose to feel that I'm going to separate the art from the artist and say that uh, Hulk Hogan, the character, was just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Terry Bollea, the person, probably a little less so. But again, we all are. We're all flawed. We're all human. His opinions in some instances may have been different from mine, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's an evil person. However, like some of the things that he was caught saying on tape were pretty fucking vile. So I can understand people being upset and not really giving a fuck that he's dead. That's going to happen. I'm choosing to be, uh, using the course of the last week to kind of think about all the fun shit that he contributed to when I was a kid. So I'm choosing to lean into that nostalgia a bit, right? It's still sad, you kind of it was sad, honestly, the last couple years because you're hearing about his health and, you see him coming out on stage at the Republican National Convention, tearing off his shirt like he's some kind of fucking puppet. Just weird. But again, but look, that's the choice he made. That's the choice that Terry Bollea made. Hulk Hogan, the character from when I was a kid, was an entirely different person in my mind, and that's how I'm choosing to remember him. I'm sad that he's gone. I feel bad for his family, and it's a bummer. A lot of people dying. Aussie last week, and then yesterday Ryan Sandberg died. Ryan Sandberg was ill, but Ryan Sandberg, man, that dude. I want to talk about a rock. That guy was a rock. Just the I didn't get to watch him a ton because I mean, when I was a kid in the '80s, what'd you get? Occasionally, some Braves Cubs games, so you get to watch, the Cubs when they played the Braves on TBS. All Star every year for God knows how many years. Just a solid dude, a solid player. Too many deaths, but a lot of people die every day. Yeah, I'm at a loss for words, mainly because I didn't write that part out, so I don't fucking know. Anyways, this week it'll probably be a bit sports heavy as I have nothing else to talk about, and I'm still half asleep. I'll touch on the Red Sox because that's a running theme here. Patriots training camp, season preview, snack foods, little West Ham, little soccer. It's another week where I don't have much to complain about, so we'll see where this shit takes us. On episode number 195 of Complaints and Observations.
Still, a voyage into the mundane and an exercise in futility. Swimming in the absurd while drowning in unearned self-importance. Entirely unworthy of your time. It is the world's worst podcast. This is Complaints and Observations with Dave LaPointe. Who the hell is Dave LaPointe?
I think he's a bum. I think he's an absolute bum.
All right. Happy Wednesday. What's up? What's going on? Welcome to another edition of whatever the fuck this is. It's been a long week and it's only Wednesday. I am in desperate need of a break. I am just burnt the fuck out with sales. Burnt the fuck out. It's awful. But it is what it is, right? Gotta keep grinding. Anyways, how are you? Things good? You all right? All right. So I do want to talk about the Red Sox, okay? And there are two reasons for doing so. One is obviously just performance on the field, okay? Now, they took two from the Dodgers. So they won a series that they, in normal circumstances wouldn't have won. So it's an achievement. But the Dodgers did come in a bit of a funk. Their pitching is still not ideal. Did you know that they've used 37 pitchers this season? 37. We're not even into August. That's fucking ridiculous. 37. How insane is that? Anyways, but look, Red Sox did what they needed to do to stay slightly above mediocre. As of today, I think they're 7 games over. Um, and it's got everyone in a fucking tizzy. And the thing that bothers me is the local media that's all hyped up. I don't know. Maybe it's just and I think it kind of plays into the Patriots too, where you have a team that has sucked for the last 4 seasons, suddenly playing well, and now it's like, okay, let's think they're great again. And they keep talking about, oh, they're a playoff team. They're a playoff team. Like, this is not 2004 when there was one wild card. Now there's fucking three. This is not 1986 when it was just division winners. It's like making the playoffs is still an achievement. However, if you make the playoffs and lose that first game, what benefit is that? And I'm hearing guys on the radio yesterday saying, "Oh, it'd be good to get some of the young players some postseason experience." Shut the fuck up with this crap. Postseason experience. How about just experience? Like, they just need to play more games. So if you play more games, that's a benefit. However, if you only play one more game, what's the point? Now the good news is you have a pitcher who theoretically could pitch that one game and win because he's the best pitcher in the league, which is great. Like, that part of it's great. However, with the way that the pitching is, you are going to need probably or better performances from Crochet down the stretch, which is, you're asking a lot because he's been pitching well for the most part. A couple of bumps, but honestly, the guy should win the Cy Young. Like, unless he gets hurt, like Scooble could beat him, but I don't know. So you have a potential Cy Young winner who could win you that one wild card game if that's what it came down to. It's just now you have to win. You have to win these games that you should not win. All right. So the game last night, they beat the Twins. The game the night before, they lost to the Twins. They shouldn't lose to the Twins. If you are a playoff team, you should not be losing to the Twins. Just like you shouldn't be losing to Florida. You shouldn't be losing to Tampa. You shouldn't be losing to Colorado, which they didn't. They didn't lose to them at all, which is what they're supposed to do. I even heard Joe Murray on the Sports Hub last night say that, well, if they keep playing like this, they're a World Series contender. No, they're not. As of today, as of yesterday, no, they're not. I don't. What I don't want to see happen is reactionary bullshit, which is why Raffy Devers isn't on this team anymore. Is because of reactionary bullshit. So we don't need that. We need someone who can hit like Devers, which they're not going to do this year. And quite frankly, I don't want them to. The focus for 2025 should be to be better in 26, 27, 28. That's what the focus should be. Don't worry about this year. Because what's the fucking point? What are you going to do? You're going to go all in for 2025 and be a wild card team? Fuck no. Go all in next year and the year after, win the division, actually fucking compete for a title, which is what you're supposed to do. You shouldn't have to wait 10 years to get to that point. 2018 to 2026, 8 years, whatever. But we're spoiled. I want our teams to compete every single year now. And if you don't, it's a failure. But this year for the Red Sox, this is already a wash, in my opinion. You're giving the young players time to improve. Like, you watch fucking Roman Anthony, it doesn't seem to matter where they put him in the lineup, which I would love to know how many times Alex Cora and the nerds have trotted out the same exact lineup more than once. It's fucking stupid. Moving guys all over the place. Like, look what you did to Rafaela. You moved him up, and he went 5 for 30. They moved him down yesterday, and he's 1 for 3 with a run driven in. Like, just leave him at 9. Just leave him there. The problem with fucking sports is everybody overthinks everything. Like, there's simple solutions to every problem. Not just in sports, but just in general. But just this team is not. They're not a World Series team. They're not. They are streaky at the plate, streaky on the mound, horrific in the field, and a touch lucky to be where they are because of like just the sheer volume of defensive errors they've made this season. It's like you're blessed to be 7 games over 500. You had Giolito last night, putting guys on and getting out of jams. Good for you, man. But you see what happens when he plays a good team. He gets fucking lit up. The Dodgers fucking lit him up. Or was it the Phillies? One of the two. Lit him up. Actually, it might have been both. I don't remember. I haven't looked. But anything they do this year is a bonus. If they make the playoffs, if they get to the LCS, hey, great. It's a bonus. Sorry, I'm very sniffly this morning. Allergies are being annoying. If Alex Cora keeps, stealing signs like he does, they could make some noise, but I'm not buying it until there's some consistent baseball. They're not losing games by dumb shit like catcher's interference. A game they probably would have lost anyway, not the point. Point is, you lost because of catcher's interference. So, and then he goes and does it the next night. I don't even blame that kid. Fucking, all of a sudden we're paying attention to catcher's interference. Get out of here. Yeah. Oh, boy. Yeah, I told you, I'm still half asleep. Last 2 nights I have not slept well. It's been fucking dreadful. So this could be a short show, but you never know. So I wanted to talk about the Patriots, and then I kind of thought a little bit better of it, and I should invest a little bit more time in things. But training camp started last week. Things are progressing, padded practices and the like. Everything I've read and heard so far is that they have 58 wide receivers, but only maybe 2 that are actually worth a damn. Maybe 3, but at least 2. What the fuck? What are we doing? Sorry. Yeah, Diggs, Douglas, maybe Butte. But I mean, that cut down day is going to be something. I mean, you're going to get guys that probably end up with jobs, but then you're going to get a bunch of guys that people thought would have jobs here who don't get jobs anywhere, who are XFL bound, which is interesting. But look, they're not winning 10 games. I'm solidly on 8. So it leads me to say, let's think about the Patriots with a shred of clarity, the same way we should look at the Red Sox with a shred of clarity. Like, they're not that great. They're better, or they're better than they've been. And the same will go for the Patriots. Better coaching, an improved quarterback, some additional pieces on defense that they can lean on. 8 wins. Like, if they get to 9, then that just means a couple things broke in a game or two that may not have broke. or should have broke, I guess, is for the lack of a better term. But they're not winning 10 games. I just want them to be watchable. That's my goal for this year. I want to be able to go to games and stay until the end. I don't want to leave in the fucking third quarter because they're getting trounced again. Hang around, compete, be in the graphic that says in the hunt during playoff time. They're in the hunt. They're 2 games out. Like if these teams lose and they win, then they could make the playoffs, but probably not. There's always a team that you think is going to be very good that ends up being lousy. So you take advantage of that. You win the games that you should win. Maybe win a game that you shouldn't win, and you get to 9. 9-8 would be a good season. 8-9 would be a good season because you literally just need to see them be better than they have been for the last 4 years. That's what you need. Even that playoff year they weren't that good, and everybody saw it. And then they got exposed in the playoff game. So I think I'm going to spend a little bit more time on that and try to come back with a bit more of a preview as we get closer to the season. But the open practice for season ticket holders is on Friday, but apparently we're going to get monsoon rains. So I don't think I'm going to be doing that, which is a bummer because I enjoy that little experiment. It's always fun. That little outing, if you will. Um, I'm very curious though to see how the offense comes along because you have we all know what the offense is, and we all know that we're going to get frustrated to no end with the offense. We're going to see screens all fucking day long, and as frustrating as they are, they work. Hence the reason why they won 6 Super Bowls running an offense that was similar to what McDaniels has always run. So I am curious. I like some of the new pieces. I think the defense is going to be good as long as everyone stays healthy. And I say that as Christian Gonzalez is already hurt. So stay healthy, kid, please. It would really suck if like the rest of his career was like, missing games all over the place. Yet the one season he stayed healthy all year was the Mayo year, and the team was fucking gross. That'd be annoying, huh? 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 Yeah, I told you I had nothing, and I'm already out of gas, and I'm only fucking like 20 minutes into this thing. But what can you do? What else? So tonight on the Peacock, if you're so inclined, at 6:30, you can watch Everton take on West Ham live from Chicago, preseason friendly. I wouldn't advise it because both teams are probably going to be very, very mid. And I say that with all the love and affection in my heart. We still need a striker, a keeper, probably a midfielder or two, depending on how they want to lay out and which of the youth players they're going to keep around. But we are in that, same with Everton. We're in this just like middle ground of Premier League clubs where you're fighting each other for average to slightly above average talent. And then every now and again, you get lucky with a guy like Jared Bowen who really, really likes where he is and doesn't want to leave and is the best fucking player we have by a country mile. But I mean, it's you have to sort of accept the fact that you are sniffing you're mid-table. You're sniffing mid-table. before you even kick a ball. And you're fighting just to stay in that sort of like 9 to 15 range in the table. That's where you're fighting for. Because you can't afford to keep up with the teams at the top. And every now and again, you get a club that sneaks in. It happens. Nottingham Forest last season snuck up. Crystal Palace wins the FA Cup. They snuck in. Bournemouth, they were kind of hovering. Brentford, kind of hovering. Although they lost their manager, so they're probably going to end up, bottom of the barrel. They lost their manager and their striker, so they're done. West Ham is good because they hang around. They've only been relegated once or twice since the inception of the Premier League, and so it's like you need to. Those are clubs that they're there to make money, and that's what these guys do. Which, again, as I've said 1,000 times, I don't begrudge them. Doesn't mean I have to like it. But what I really don't like is how the Premier League has just become essentially a Super League light. So far this window, clubs have spent over £2 billion on transfers all told this summer. That's a fucking shitload of money. The so-called Big Six in the Premier League, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, Man United, and fucking Tottenham somehow. They've accounted for more than half of that total. Just those 6 clubs. So you've got 6 clubs and then 14 teams in the lower divisions that are simply fodder and feeder for the 6 up top. Even Man United, who's been crying poor for the past 2 seasons, have spent £153 million and have not sold anyone to recoup some of that money. Like, honestly, it's laughable. If I'm a fan of a club like that, I would be fucking livid. Like you're making all these changes to the club. Like you told Alex Ferguson to go fuck out and pound sand. Yeah, we're not giving you a package anymore to kind of show up and shake hands. Yeah, we're not going to pay him anymore. The greatest manager the league has ever seen, second to Pep Guardiola. But yeah, we're not going to pay him anymore because we can't afford it. But we're going to spend 150 million on transfers and not sell anybody. They're just going to let some of these guys walk on freeze, which is whatever. But then the other side of the ledger, you have Liverpool, who lead the way in spending thus far. After winning the league last year, 308 million. They have sold some players to the tune of 133 million, so they've managed to recoup some of that. And then John Henry didn't think his beloved Red Sox needed an actual cleanup hitter, so he saved himself some money there too. And apparently, they might sell the Penguins. They've owned the Penguins for like a week and a half, and they might fucking sell the team. Mario Lemieux wants to buy it again for a 3rd time. I think it's a 3rd time. At least a 2nd time. I don't know. Can't keep up. But the amount of money that those 6 teams spend is just pales in comparison. Like, as an example, West Ham, when the window opened, they said we cannot buy players until we sell players, and they have a bunch of guys that they want to sell. The problem is they all stink, which is why they want to sell them. So they're gonna make pennies on the dollar, getting rid of guys that they don't need and don't want, that they've brought in over the last 3 years. You're gonna end up keeping guys that you loaned out last year, which is just I don't get it. Uh, And then you're selling guys like Mohamed Kudus to fucking Tottenham, of all teams, of all the teams on the planet that you could have sent this guy to. You sent him to fucking Tottenham. 63 million. And you've spent like 60. So we've actually made money this transfer season, which is fucking stupid. And we still have all of these holes. And they have said that we're not buying unless we sell. So they need to sell and then buy. That's the life of a mid-table club in any league on earth. And it's so dumb. Like the whole goal should be you should be spending millions upon millions on your academy. Like I think it's Bayer Bayer Leverkusen in Germany. Like their whole thing, the amount of money that they've made like every year over the course of the last 4 years from selling players, either players that they have bought uh very, very low and then sold high, or academy guys that they have reared essentially, brought them into the first team. They're good enough, and then they get sold off for gobs of money. Happens all the time. They make a shit ton of money because they invest in their academy. They're smart about the spending that they do make, and they're a mid-table club in the Bundesliga. Maybe slightly above average club in the Bundesliga. But it's something. Like the sport is very interesting. And my whole like sports versus math nonsense, it plays in some regard in football because all the leagues have, not all the leagues, but most of the leagues have restrictions in place so that you don't end up with six big clubs spending half of the world's transfer money, right? There's like financial fair play in the Premier League, but God forbid anybody has a reasonable expectation of how that's supposed to work. Because the idea is that it keeps a level playing field where your profits can't be this and your sell on can't be this and your buy can't be that. There's a lot involved. Don't ask me to explain it to you because I don't know. Google it. Financial fair play. Look into it. It's not a salary cap. So tell Bryce Harper to fucking settle down. It's not a salary cap. It's just it's there are controls in place. And it might be because apparently now the UK has like a, I don't know, minister of football or something, where his job is literally just to make sure that there's no funny business, which I think is fucking awesome. It just tells you like how important the sport is to, and it really is. You got to think about all the money that comes into their economy based on fucking Premier League football. Wild. Anyways, so yeah, that's the football minutes. There'll be more as we get into the season. I mean, the season starts in a couple of weeks. So I don't know. We open at Sunderland, and Sunderland is a top 10 spender this year. Back into the Premier League, they're spending a like fucking gobs of money to rebuild their club and to stay in the Premier League. We'll see. We'll see about that, friends. And I do have a couple of voicemails this week, both from our friend Mike. Sadly, it seems as if our new friend Lori has moved on smartly. If she hasn't yet, she will after this week's episode. So here we go.
It is Wednesday, July 23rd, and as I anxiously await that little blue dot on my Spotify to light up to tell me that another batch of complaints goodness is waiting for me, I'm starting to realize it's not coming. So, I guess I'll just have to trudge on. I do have a little WNBA update. The All-Star game was boring. There was no Caitlin Clark. I think the only highlight was that the players wore T-shirts that said, like, pay us what you owe us. And that sparked some controversy online. Um, the whole equal pay thing, unequal, and the comments that, well, the WNBA is not profitable. I'm thinking to myself, what if I did work and my company wasn't profitable? And the company probably wouldn't be around. The other funny highlight was that some of the players went out to a club in downtown Indianapolis, and they weren't allowed into the club. Some of them looked a little rough around the edges, a couple of them. They weren't allowed to jump the line, and Courtney Williams from Minnesota Lynx stated, well, we're just in town for the All-Star game from the W, and you should let us in. And no one really knew what they were talking about. So thought that was kind of funny, a little humbling there. You can't really pull rank in a league that no one really knows. If it was me, I would let him in. But there's not many knees out there. So anyways, hope we'll be seeing you here, Dave. Hope you will be coming back to us, because there is a core group of complainers and observers that look to you for guidance. Just wanted to clarify this travel thing. It's not something that I don't want to do. I definitely see myself doing more of it as time and funds free up. And I think, I think a lot of it ties into maybe the fact that I travel so much for work. And then also, I don't know, I guess maybe the bigger thing is I'm not a big fan of sightseeing. So when I see these people, I think, half of my friends have gone to Italy in the last 2 years, and I see, one person after the other taking pictures in front of all the touristy sites. It's not really, doesn't really get me that excited. I mean, I've been to Italy. It was hot. Rome was hot and gross and crowded. Venice was amazing. But yeah, I have a lot of things I want to do kind of all over the place. I road bike. I'd love to road bike different places. Obviously the fishing thing. I'm half Icelandic. All my Icelandic family, those guys travel. I think everybody, it's almost a rite of passage to go around Europe and live in different places, things like that. Doing a cross country road trip, I think that would be awesome. That's kind of on the list. So yeah, there's definitely things I want to do. Maybe things are a little more adventurous. Aforementioned Uncle Pickle is a big hiker slash river rafter, camper. So I've done some stuff with him. So yeah, it's definitely on the list. And also too, going back to your complaint about the guy with the acoustic at the restaurant, being the guy with the acoustic myself, I can't stand when that happens. It's terrible. When you see them setting up, you're going to have to eat quick and get the heck out of there, or risk losing your voice there. So, 100% on that one. But I can't stand it. And they usually butcher the songs big time.
All right, I put both of those together. So you got like 4 straight minutes of Mike. But you did get, there were a couple things you got there, including a bit of a WNBA update, which is nice. I'm glad to see that the WNBA correspondent is working a bit, though. His report on the All-Star game was lackluster, but as was the game, like you mentioned. I do like that he did a little investigative journalism and found out about some of the players going to the club in Indianapolis. I didn't know that. I had to look into it. And yeah, they were denied entry to a club in Indianapolis, which made me think, are they that bored that they have to go to a club in Indianapolis? Like, you don't need to go there. And no, look, you're in the Midwest where they'll be nice to you, but then the minute you turn around, they're going to tell you to fuck off. Like, that's what the Midwest does. And I mainly love the Midwest for the most part, but sometimes they're a little passive aggressive. Um, but yeah, so, but the big one, partially that he was complaining that I wasn't on time last week. Like, honestly, settle the fuck down. It's really not that important, Mike. That came off rude. I'm sorry. It was, I'm sorry. I just took too long last week. It did. God damn it. He did clarify the travel thing, which I'm glad he did. The problem though is he mentioned Italy. God, like Italy is probably last on my list of places I want to go, and it's for all the reasons that Mike mentioned. I work for a travel company. Travel company sells more trips to Italy than any place else. And people that go to Italy typically are like first-time international travelers. So, first-time international travelers are usually annoying, don't know what they're doing, move very slow, clog things up, and then you imagine now that you're in one of the most popular places on the planet, which is Italy. If I'm going to Italy, it's going to be northern Italy. I think eventually I'll get to Rome, Venice, and all those places, but I just don't have like I don't have a burning desire to go to Rome, and I don't have a burning desire to go to Italy much. I mean, the Amalfi Coast looks unreal, but I think I could get something similar in other parts of Europe if I need to. Not that I need to, but I find it amusing though that you mentioned you had Icelandic family. I was unaware. But the good thing about being European is being able to freely travel all over Europe. And so, I can see why your family would be. I'm lost. I'm trying to do 8 things at once. This is not going to be a very productive day at work. I can tell you that already. 'Cause my brain is not functioning yet. um, yeah, I mean, look, I get it. Here's the thing, though, right? I don't have the money and I don't have the time to travel as much as I want to. But I mean, I think about it probably every day, and it's not just work related. Like, I am in a position now where I really think I'm going to plan a trip to Vietnam for sometime next year, mainly because everything I've seen about this country just looks absolutely incredible. So and it's fucking cheap as hell. So I can get a really good trip to Vietnam at a reasonable price. The flights are going to suck. That's the price you pay. Like going to Australia and New Zealand was, I don't want to call it life changing, but, incredible. But I mean, sitting on a plane for 15 hours fucking blows. The good thing is I might go the other way. I might go, I might go east instead of going west to get to Vietnam, which means I would travel through like Doha or Qatar or Dubai or something like that because I would love to see those. I would love to see those countries, and I'd see if I can like find at least like a layover that's a day, so I can get out and see a bit of that country. Oh, that would be great. That would be great. Not that country, that area, I should say. But um, so I think about it all the time, and it's a driving force to a point, right? I don't make enough money to travel as much as I want, even though I can get like really good prices on travel. I don't have the time either. I get a shitload of time off in my job, but I'm in sales. So if I take it, I'm not making money. You know, it's a catch 22, if you will, but it is what it is, right? Um, I love that Uncle Pickle came up again. So shout out Uncle Pickle. It's probably not even his name. I would love to know what Uncle Pickle's real name is, even if it's probably like Jim. And I don't even know if I heard him right the first time and just thought he said Uncle Pickle. I don't know. But yeah. So yeah, I'm sniffling into the phone. Into the phone? Oh boy, this is not good. Folks, I apologize for the umpteenth time that this show is garbage. All right. Thankfully, it's time for everyone's favorite part of the show when it's almost over. And three gripes. Gripe number one. I didn't know where to, like, how to phrase this. I think I'm gonna, like, post it as people who still wear masks. But my original note was people wearing masks like they're inside an asbestos factory. There was a woman on the train the other day. Oh, the groundhog's back. Nice. Hello, Phyllis. A train, like, she's on the train and she's wearing literally, you've seen those giant, like, not vented, filtered masks. Uh, that if you're a drywaller or something along those lines, like, she was wearing a mask like that. And you say, "Oh, maybe she works in, like, in labor." No, like, she was wearing a dress, like, her hair was done. She wasn't, a looker. Not the point. The point is she's wearing this mask. And I'm thinking to myself, like, if you feel the need to wear this type of contraption in public, why would you leave your house? And then, what is it that you have, or what is it that you think you're going to catch if you don't wear it? I would just love to know what goes on in these people's minds. Like, the general fear of breathing something in. That has to be debilitating, right? Like, I can't figure out, I don't know. Like, again, I understand fear is entirely mental, right? And it's a protective mechanism so that your brain tells you to, like, move wherever you're from or whatever you're doing. That's what fear is. And so this person, gets out of it. But the best part is, like, when you're outside, right? Like, I saw her on the train platform, like, by herself, and she's still wearing this thing. And it's like, boy, what on earth are you doing? I mean, I gawk because it's ridiculous. And then on the other hand, I feel bad because it's like, boy, what is so bad about the general public? I don't know. Like, if you're wearing just, like, a little, like, surgical mask, okay, maybe you have a cold and you're being considerate, or you're just a germaphobe. But this poor thing, I don't even know what to say. She was just all decked out, and it made me wonder, like, all right, but she wasn't wearing gloves. Okay, so she's obviously not afraid of touching something, just breathing it in. It's funny, she probably gets on the tee and starts fucking touching everything, and then goes back and washes her hands and thinks she's all done. I mean, like, when she gets to the office, does she leave it on? And then, like, how long before, like, the indentation on your face goes away? I gave this like, way too much thought. Anyway, gripe number two: people who like hot and humid weather. Fuck's wrong with you? It was 100+ degrees in Boston yesterday. It was not comfortable. It was annoying. Nobody liked it. But then you get somebody in the office like, oh, this is my kind of weather. Is it? Well, then get the fuck out of the office. You're taking up valuable air conditioning space. Stupid. And gripe number 3, golf. I don't know if golf has been a gripe in the past. It may well have. I don't recall. Mainly because I don't remember much of anything. But golf. Why is something that's allegedly enjoyable mostly frustrating as hell? I like the game. I like playing it. But I made a decision last week where I think I'm done with letting it frustrate me. I think I have finally come to the point where I'm not delusional to think that I'm going to be quote unquote good at golf. I'm going to now use the game as just the occasional enjoyment of a good shot, the enjoyment of like being with a group, being outside, of fresh air. That's it. That's what I'm going to use the game for. I'm not going to say, "Oh, I need to improve." Nope, I'm done with that. If I play enough to improve, fine. But I'm just done getting mad at it. I just don't see the point anymore. I mean, being frustrated with a bad shot on the golf course when you're not a good golfer, it just doesn't make a ton of sense anymore. I just don't see the point. And so that's it. Like I'm not going to stop playing. No, because again, I enjoy the game, so I'm not going to stop playing. I'm just not going to let it bother me anymore. And here's the thing, right? We all know how we're supposed to play. We all know how. Anybody who's ever golfed for an extended period of time knows how they're supposed to swing. They know like how they're supposed to hold the club, how they're supposed to make different shots on the course. They know how they're supposed to select different clubs. They know all these things. But the game is all about execution and consistency, neither of which I'm patient enough to have. So why get mad at it any longer? That's where I'm at with golf. And I think it's a fair agreement between golf and I. I really, really do. I think that's where I'm at. And I'm also at the end of the show. This was a short shift, a short show, and a shit show. A lot of shit in there, right? I'm fucking like, it's gonna sound like crap because I sound like crap. All the sniffles, it's gross. Nobody needs that. So again, I apologize. I probably lost a handful of listeners, so I might be down to one. I might be down to Mike, and that's it. Anyways, listen, I'm on Instagram at Complaints Pod. I'm at Facebook, but fuck Facebook. I'm on Threads, but I'm getting to the point where fuck them too. That's Complaints Pod. You will find me on Twitter at Complaints Pod. You will find me on all the various podcasting streaming sites: Spotify, Apple, iHeart, etc., etc. You can call in, leave a voicemail 617-804-1557. Call in. Do what you do with that. Tell your friends, tell your moms, and then take care of yourself and take care of each other. Godspeed. Ta ta.